You're listening to the CyberWire Network, powered by N2K.
When it comes to ensuring your company has top-notch security practices, things can get complicated fast. Vanta automates compliance for SOC 2, ISO 27001, HIPAA, and more, saving you time and money. With Vanta, you can streamline security reviews by automating questionnaires and demonstrating your security posture with a customer-facing trust center. Over 7,000 global companies like Atlassian, Flow Health, and Quora use Vanta to manage risk and prove security in real time. Our listeners can claim a special offer of $1,000 off Vanta at vanta.com/cyber. That's VANTA.com/cyber for $1,000 off Vanta. French authorities outline the allegations against Telegram's CEO. Google finds familiar spyware in Mongolian government websites. The Mirai botnet leverages obsolete security cameras. Iran's Peach Sandstorm targets the space industry. A federal appeals court says platforms may be liable to algorithmically recommended content. Scam cycles are getting shorter. McDonald's officials are grimacing after hackers take over their Instagram account. Our guests today are Dave DeWalt, founder and CEO of NightDragon, and Nicole Bucala, CEO and General Manager at DataBee, sharing their joint initiative which aims to propel future cybersecurity innovations. And a would-be extortionist fails to cover his tracks. It's Thursday, August 29th, 2024. I'm Dave Bittner, and this is your CyberWire Intel Briefing. Thanks for joining us here today. It is great to have you with us. Telegram CEO Pavel Durov is under formal investigation in France for alleged involvement in organized crime through the messaging platform. A French judge imposed bail conditions, including a €5 million payment, twice-weekly police check-ins, and a travel ban from France. Durov faces accusations related to complicity in illegal activities on Telegram, such as child abuse, drug trafficking, and money laundering. His arrest has sparked debates about the balance between free speech and law enforcement. The investigation, which began in February, highlights tensions between Telegram's operations and government compliance. France's move has strained diplomatic relations with Russia, where Durov also holds citizenship. While Telegram asserts compliance with EU laws, French authorities criticize the platform's lack of cooperation in criminal investigations. This case underscores the broader issue of how governments deal with encrypted platforms used for both lawful and illicit activities. Researchers at Google have revealed that Russian government hackers, specifically the APT-29 group linked to Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service, have used exploits resembling those developed by spyware firms Intellixa and NSO Group. These exploits were found embedded in Mongolian government websites, potentially compromising visitors' iPhones and Android devices through a watering hole attack. The exploits targeted vulnerabilities in Safari on iPhones and Chrome on Android, even though those vulnerabilities had been patched. The attack aimed to steal user account cookies, potentially granting hackers access to government accounts. Google is unsure how the Russian hackers obtained the exploits, but speculate they may have purchased or stolen them. Google advises users to keep software updated to prevent such attacks. Cybersecurity researchers at Akamai have identified a zero-day vulnerability in CCTV cameras manufactured by Taiwan-based Avtech, which is being exploited by hackers to expand a botnet based on the notorious Mirai malware. The flaw, found in the camera's brightness setting, allows remote control of the devices, enabling the spread of a Mirai variant called Corona. Despite the cameras being old and discontinued, they remain in widespread use, including in critical infrastructure. CISA issued an advisory warning about the vulnerability, highlighting its ease of exploitation and the lack of response from Avtech. Akamai notes that this incident reflects a growing trend of attackers exploiting older, unpatched vulnerabilities to deploy malware. The vulnerability was publicly known since 2019, but only recently received a formal CVE designation. The Iranian hacking group APT-33, also known as Peach Sandstorm, has intensified its focus on space-related infrastructure, alongside other critical sectors, according to new findings from Microsoft. Active for over a decade, Peach Sandstorm is notorious for its aggressive cyberespionage, particularly through password spraying attacks. Recently, the group has developed a sophisticated multi-stage backdoor named Tickler, which allows them to remotely access and control victim networks. Since April of this year, Peach Sandstorm has targeted space, satellite, and defense sectors, using Tickler to infiltrate these high-stakes environments. Microsoft reports that the group also manipulated victims' Azure cloud infrastructure, gaining further control. Additionally, the hackers have been using fake LinkedIn profiles to conduct intelligence gathering in the space and satellite industries. These actions underline a significant and evolving threat to global space infrastructure, with Peach Sandstorm demonstrating a persistent interest in disrupting and exploiting this critical sector. In a significant legal development, a U.S. appeals court has opened the door for TikTok to face potential liability over the tragic death of 10-year-old Nyla Anderson. The young girl died after attempting the blackout challenge, a dangerous trend that TikTok's algorithm had placed on her For You page. Initially, a lower court had ruled that TikTok was protected under Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, which typically shields social media platforms from being held accountable for content posted by users. However, the Third Circuit Court of Appeals in Pennsylvania disagreed, arguing that by curating content through its algorithms, TikTok may have played an active role in the harm caused. Judge Paul Maddy, in his opinion, emphasized that Section 230 wasn't meant to create a lawless no man's land for platforms. Instead, he argued, platforms should be accountable when their algorithms actively push harmful content. This ruling challenges the broad immunities social media companies have relied on and could have far-reaching implications across the industry. The case will now return to the district court, where TikTok will face renewed scrutiny over its role in Anderson's death. Cybercriminals have increasingly shifted to shorter, more targeted online scams, significantly reducing the duration of their operations over the past 4 years, according to a report from Chainalysis. Scammers are rapidly refreshing their infrastructure, with 43% of scam revenues tracked in 2024 linked to newly active wallets. This trend reflects a move from large, prolonged schemes to quicker, smaller campaigns, often leveraging tactics like pig butchering. This approach reduces the risk of detection and allows criminals to launder stolen funds more effectively. Cisco has released patches for multiple vulnerabilities in its NXOS software, with the most critical being a high-severity flaw in the DHCP v6 relay agent that could allow remote attackers to cause a denial-of-service condition. This flaw affects the Nexus 3000, 7000, and 9000 series switches in standalone NXOS mode with specific configurations. Other patched issues include medium-severity command injection and sandbox escape vulnerabilities, potentially allowing unauthorized code execution or privilege escalation. Cisco reports no known exploitations of these vulnerabilities in the wild. Faster than you can say, "Would you like fries with that?" hackers took over McDonald's official Instagram account, promoting a fake cryptocurrency called Grimace and allegedly stealing $700,000 from investors. They used the account's 5.1 million followers and tweets from McDonald's social media head Guillaume Huin to lend credibility to the scam, promising investors a follow from the official account. The fake coin's market value surged to $25 million within 30 minutes before crashing when the hackers withdrew the funds and vanished. Huin later confirmed that his Twitter account had been compromised. McDonald's apologized for the incident, stating they are working with authorities to investigate the breach and remove offensive content. The swift deletion of the fraudulent posts likely limited the number of victims. Coming up after the break, my conversation with Dave DeWalt, founder and CEO of NightDragon, and Nicole Bucala, CEO and General Manager at DataBee. Stay with us. And now, a word from our sponsor, KnowBe4. It's all connected, and we're not talking conspiracy theories. When it comes to InfoSec tools, effective integrations can make or break your security stack. The same should be true for security awareness training. KnowBe4, provider of the world's largest library of security awareness training, provides a way to integrate your existing security stack tools to help you strengthen your organization's security culture. KnowBe4's Security Coach uses standard APIs to quickly and easily integrate with your existing security products from vendors like Microsoft, CrowdStrike, and Cisco, 35 vendor integrations and counting. Security Coach analyzes your security stack alerts to identify events related to any risky security behavior from your users. Use this information to set up real-time coaching campaigns targeting risky users based on those events from your network, endpoint, identity, or web security vendors. Then coach your users at the moment the risky behavior occurs, with contextual security tips delivered via Microsoft Teams, Slack, or email. Learn more at knowbefore.com/securitycoach. That's knowbefore.com/securitycoach. And we thank KnowBe4 for sponsoring our show. The IT world used to be simpler. You only had to secure and manage environments that you controlled. Then came new technologies and new ways to work. Now, employees, apps, and networks are everywhere. This means poor visibility, security gaps, and added risk. That's why Cloudflare created the first-ever connectivity cloud. Visit cloudflare.com to protect your business everywhere you do business. Dave DeWalt is founder and CEO of NightDragon, and Nicole Bucala is CEO and General Manager at DataBee. I recently sat down with them to share news of their joint initiative, which aims to propel future cybersecurity innovations. So today we're talking about this collaboration that is going to be happening, and indeed is happening, between NightDragon and DataBee. I would love to start out with some descriptions of the two organizations for folks who may not be familiar. Nicole, everybody knows about Comcast, but I think DataBee might be a new name for folks. How do you describe the organization?
Yeah, there's actually two new names I'd like to introduce. One is DataBee. The other is Comcast Technology Solutions. So within Comcast, which is a very large, highly diversified global company, Comcast Technology Solutions is an arm that brings Comcast's own internal inventions to market to other large enterprises. It's highly diversified. There are 4 business units with offerings across advertising and media and critical infrastructure, and now cybersecurity and enterprise data management through DataBee. And so DataBee is sort of like a Series C startup within Comcast under the purview of Comcast Technology Solutions.
And Dave, for folks who haven't heard of it, few and far between as they may be, tell us about Night Dragon.
Yeah, thank you. Night Dragon, as I mentioned, is an investment and advisory firm. We focus in on the market segment called security technology, secure tech. So think of it like biotech or fintech, but the world of security technology. At the core of that is our focus in on the 5 major domains that are essentially at risk or threats, which is space, air, oceans, land, and cyber. Cyber is where a lot of our roots are, but we certainly see a lot of opportunity in all the markets. So Night Dragon focuses in on those threats and risks. We look for growth stage companies, and part of our business is investing from funds. And the other part is advising companies as part of the work we do with our platform. So in addition to being investors, we help operate companies, help companies scale, and we built a series of partnerships, one of which we have today, and a very important one, which is really to help companies grow, especially in the worlds of data and AI, meeting these threats and risks that are occurring. So happy to be on the call today.
Nicole, I'm curious about the motivation here. When you look at Night Dragon, Comcast Technology Solutions, and DataBee, what was it that drew you together to form this strategic partnership?
So, Comcast provides critical infrastructure, right? And it does so in many different ways. And Comcast Technology Solutions has expertise in that infrastructure. And right now, we're trying to diversify now into a new sector, right? We want to be selling a SaaS product in cybersecurity and data management to other large enterprises, some of our existing customers as well. And so it's exciting to me to be able to collaborate with the folks at Night Dragon, to be able to also meet some of the other founders that they invest in, right? Because there may be synergies that we see across the Night Dragon portfolio and also what CTS is bringing to market.
Dave, Nicole mentions synergies. Do you have any examples of potential synergies here between Comcast Technology Solutions and Night Dragon?
Yeah, I do. As a matter of fact, I would underscore what Nicole just mentioned, but maybe flip it around from my perspective for a minute. It's somewhat of an orthodox kind of partnership. I mean, Comcast partnering with a venture capital firm in the security world, we don't see a lot of that, over the years. But a credit to Comcast and Nicole for thinking about, the partnership in a different way, an innovative way. And when you look at it from our perspectives, what does Comcast have? They have, very powerful infrastructure, telemetry of intelligence that they can gather. They have what I call the crowd. I always talk about crowd, cloud, and AI. They have one of the biggest crowds of telemetry and data that you could see. Most of our companies at Night Dragon are all about crowd, cloud, and AI too, depending on what sector that they're a part of. And we look for AI and machine learning to help generate threat intelligence and risk capabilities in a way that makes our world more secure for tomorrow. But the idea here is Comcast, we see, has really got the same mission. How do we make it a safer world? How do we make it more secure? How do we leverage data? How do we leverage that cloud in a way that can come together to, be more than 1+1, Night Dragon and Comcast together, but also with our portfolio companies and their expertise, making it, a much bigger equation of value together. And we have a lot of respect for the people, for the process, for the capabilities Nicole brings, but also the whole entity of Comcast. And so we're looking forward to a lot more time together and a lot more fun, hopefully.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Dave, for mentioning that. I think the thing you said to me before that is really fascinating from that security sector perspective, and also from all the buzz around generative AI, is the fact that Comcast brings to the table, again, that expertise in critical infrastructure. And we all know that the security problem is still not as well solved around critical infrastructure as it may be in other sectors, right? Critical infrastructure obviously powers a lot of other critical infrastructure, right? Some of the technologies, obviously, that are used in critical infrastructure can be very different right, from some of the core technologies. And therefore, it necessitates a different approach to data analysis, to protection, to even the concept of doing the fun things in the data world, right? Writing advanced models that can deliver cool insights, right? It's different. And so, I'm excited, particularly about how this partnership, I think, is going to really dive into what are the emerging threats and challenges in the digital landscape, and how do we really advance and provide greater value, right? Not just to our customers, but also to better protect the world.
Dave, I'm curious about this notion of having early access to each other's technology, to each other's developments. I mean, do you see that being a differentiating factor here in the collaboration?
Absolutely. And I'm glad you asked that, because for us as an investor and operator of emerging technologies, Nicole just mentioned generative AI or how to secure AI. So we're looking at all the companies. There's about 50 companies in AI security as an example. We look at them all, we inventory them all. We think we know where we can make an investment, but Comcast can be a great validator. And they, with their infrastructure and footprint, can help us with due diligence, help us understand which of these companies might be the best for us to invest in. Maybe eventually they'll invest alongside of us as well, or go to market with these companies. So the partnership almost starts at the beginning of deal sourcing, where we're looking at markets and focus areas together. So I see it as a whole life cycle from the beginning of our investment cycle to potentially liquidating at the end of the cycle. How do we work together throughout all of that for the betterment of our companies together, but also the betterment of our customers together?
Dave, it's an interesting point that you bring forward, which is the practitioner perspective that comes from the partnership with Comcast. And that's actually how Data came to start, right? It had been developed by Comcast's own global CISO, Newport Davis, and her team. And I've done emerging technology and security before. And one of the many challenges early on is product market fit, simply making sure that your idea is actually helping someone in a way that they will pay money for it. A second problem that I've seen in emerging technology and security is the question of scale. First, you create something and you deploy it at a small scale, but then eventually you may have some success and you may have a hard time scaling. And so Comcast also offers the perspective of scale. And so when we take Comcast scale and we take the practitioner mindset of what the practitioners are seeing, not only as the real problems they're facing today, but also what are the right architectural approaches to address those in the most cost-efficient way. That's really the value of Comcast and Comcast cybersecurity in partnering with a venture firm and in looking at some of those early stage investments.
I would just say, if I could, maybe, and Nicole can end it, but I would just say, I'm very excited about the partnership. There's no doubt about it. A lot of respect for Nicole, a lot of respect for the company. The future is bright, as I said. There's so many new technologies coming, AI, quantum, threats and risks. I'm just proud to be a partner. And Nicole, thank you for the sponsorship, the relationship, and look forward to many years working together.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Dave. And likewise, I mean, for us at Comcast, we've made a commitment to fully get into the cybersecurity industry. And when you think about what we have our internal innovations in Newport's org. We have Comcast Ventures, which is it has invested in cybersecurity before, several good investments, and it's now starting to do even more and looking to potentially collaborate with NightDragon on that. As Dave said, it's unique that Comcast is doing this. And so we're just so honored to have a partnership with NightDragon and have your guidance to help us with this journey.
That's Dave DeWalt, founder and CEO of NightDragon, and Nicole Bucala, CEO and General Manager at Databee. And finally, in a classic case of crime doesn't pay, a Missouri man, Daniel Rhine, age 57, found himself on the wrong side of the law after attempting to extort his former employer. Ryan, a core infrastructure engineer who clearly took his job too literally, allegedly wreaked havoc on his ex-employer's systems, locking out administrators, deleting accounts, and shutting down servers, all in a bid to score a $750,000 Bitcoin ransom. But here's where the plot thickens. Like a poorly scripted movie, Ryan left a trail leading right back to his virtual doorstep. Investigators traced the cyber sabotage to a remote desktop session linked to his own laptop. Now, instead of counting his ransom money, Ryan is facing some hefty charges, including extortion, intentional damage to a protected computer, and wire fraud, with the possibility of decades behind bars and up to $750,000 in fines. It's safe to say this caper didn't quite go as planned. And that's the CyberWire. For links to all of today's stories, check out our daily briefing at thecyberwire.com. We'd love to know what you think of this podcast. Your feedback ensures we deliver the insights that keep you a step ahead in the rapidly changing world of cybersecurity. If you like our show, please share a rating and review in your favorite podcast app. Please also fill out the survey in the show notes or send an email to cyberwire@n2k.com. We're privileged that N2K CyberWire is part of the daily routine of the most influential leaders and operators in the public and private sector, from the Fortune 500 to many of the world's preeminent intelligence and law enforcement agencies. N2K makes it easy for companies to optimize your biggest investment, your people. We make you smarter about your teams while making your teams smarter. Learn how at n2k.com. This episode was produced by Liz Stokes. Our mixer is Trey Hester, with original music and sound design by Elliot Peltzman. Our executive producer is Jennifer Eiben. Our executive editor is Brandon Karpf. Simone Petrella is our president, Peter Kilpie is our publisher, and I'm Dave Bittner. Thanks for listening. We'll see you back here tomorrow. This September 18th and 19th in Denver, a tight community of leading experts is gathering to tackle the toughest cybersecurity challenges we face. It's happening at MWise, the unique conference built by practitioners for practitioners. Brought to you by Mandiant, now part of Google Cloud, MWise features one-to-one access with industry experts and fresh insights into the topics that matter most, right now, to frontline practitioners. Register early and save at mwise.io/cyberwire. That's mwise.io/cyberwire.